Now that Tesla's Robotaxi service is in the brink of launching to the public in a week or so, a new report just dropped that revealed not only pricing insights on Waymo, Uber, and Lyft, but also what exactly do riders value. It's a real eye-opener, and will show you without a doubt now that Tesla will not only win, but likely wipe these competitors off the map. For rides under 1 mile, believe it or not, Waymo charges $42 per mile, and Uber $30 per mile. It doesn't get any better from there. For rides under 6 miles, they're all around $5 per mile. Surprisingly, despite Waymo charging more, riders still preferred it over Uber. When asked what is your biggest issue with rideshare in 2025, price is the top concern. So what will happen to these competitors when Tesla launches a sub $2 per mile offering? The next 3 concerns are wait times too long, safety, and drivers cancel on me. Joining me today is Cern Basher. Cern is a chartered financial analyst who's currently running his own investment advisory firm called BrilliantAdvice, providing wealth management services. Welcome, Cern.
Hi, Herbert. Yeah, I think this is a really interesting report and very timely.
Very timely. You've done a lot of research. I encourage everybody to check out all the videos I've done with you. You've shared all your research, and you've analyzed cost per mile. We analyzed how could a robotaxi company succeed? How could Tesla's robotaxi? How will that impact the share price and impact the value of the company? This data validates a lot of what you had been making assumptions on. It's pretty well dead on, but there's a bit of information here that's shocking to me. I didn't realize $40 per mile for 1 mile. That's ridiculous. So this is a data from a company, a research company called OBI, and they called it the Road Ahead Pricing Insights on Waymo, Uber, and Lyft. And these guys are pretty credible. This is their table of contents. We'll go through this. Pricing, ETA, pricing elasticity, and ETA, survey data, the attitudes on autonomous vehicles. We'll go down in that in detail. So they are a global real-time aggregator that compares millions of pricing and pickup, which is data points, ETA, providing consumers and businesses with actionable data. And so they compare taxis, black cabs, major rideshare providers. They can search by car type, pickup ETA, and also. So there's 1 million global users, and they partnered with rideshare and taxi providers to get this data. So let's start with this. What's this, sir?
Yeah, this is comparing Lyft, Uber, and Waymo. Lyft is in red, Uber's in black, and Waymo's in dark blue. And this is showing over, I guess it's a 20, maybe more than 24-hour period. It looks like a few days, a couple weeks maybe, or I guess this is a month. I'm sorry, yeah, this study actually ran from March 25th of this year through April 25th. So I guess this is, pretty much showing that full period. And they're showing the price, how the price changes with time. And obviously there's peaks and valleys in there with rush hours and so on. But you can see there just visually that Waymo's pricing is pretty much always higher than the other two. And they're saying that they found in their study that it's about 30 to 40% more expensive. And so by the way, in this study, it's for a month this year. It's in San Francisco, and they captured about 89,000 data points.
Wow.
And they were able to match them up. And so that actually, I think there's over 700 data points where they can actually measure kind of the same time, date, and distance across the 3 companies. So directly comparable data points because the vehicles were going from point A to point B at the same time, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
So this data actually is really quite interesting. Yeah.
Waymo is high, and then the price variability is 3 times even more than Lyft's. That's crazy too.
So this is really interesting because the way I think about this is, Lyft is a little bit cheaper form of Uber, and you take Lyft if you're willing to wait longer. Uber's wait times are shorter than Lyft. So if you're price sensitive and don't mind waiting, you can take Lyft and you can save a little bit of money. And you can see the red line and the black line pretty much mirror each other, and Lyft always tries to be a little bit less expensive at any given time during the day. Waymo is not really trying to compete with either one of those two. They're a premium service. They view themselves as a premium service. And sometimes they charge massively more than what Uber and Lyft do, particularly kind of at the peak towards rush hour. And so that's kind of interesting. You can kind of look at this as the autonomy premium, so to speak. And I think this is kind of surprising because I don't think anybody realized that the premium
No,
for autonomy is so high.
it is crazy high. And then you'll show the next data point says that people don't care. People want, willing to pay. But by the way, just wanted to make a mention about ETA, like the estimated time of arrival. Lyft does, like you're saying, that it's lower cost, but maybe longer ETA. But I find that these apps, they kind of lie to you. It'll tell you a
Mhm.
certain amount of ETA, but then because they're trying to convince you to buy the one that's going to be faster.
Yeah.
But if you choose the one that's longer, you'd be shocked. Some of them will just still give you a car that's really close, anyways. Like they're just trying to, you know, uh, I've noticed that.
Now, just back to the other chart real quick, Herbert. The other difference too, we should always keep in mind is that the Lyft and Uber prices, I believe, do not include tip, from what I could see
Oh,
in this data.
Jesus.
So the
Jeez.
gap might not be quite as wide
As
as what I'm
far.
showing here if you factor in tips.
True, true, true.
But
Okay, gotcha.
nonetheless, the premium for Waymo is higher towards the latter part of the day, going into the evening.
Mm,
And part of it is that people don't want to be subjected to Uber and Lyft drivers. They'd rather be in the vehicle by themselves. And for women in particular, that may be a safety concern for them,
makes sense.
which is interesting. Yeah.
Hmm. Although, isn't this the morning? It's like 3 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
In that case, the premium isn't as high as it is towards the later end of the day.
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't fully
Okay.
explain the safety premium doesn't fully explain this data in my opinion, but you can certainly see in the late evening hours, the
Hmm.
premium is still pretty high.
Okay, this is the shocking one. Obviously, 70% of users prefer Waymo to regular rideshare. So, did you prefer the experience of Waymo versus a regular rideshare with drivers? 70% yes. No preference. And no, this is like you think that this is a commodity, right? You're just being picked up, you're being delivered from one location to another location. You just want to get from point A to point B. Most people would just prefer less to pay less money, but no, for some reason they actually prefer no driver or
Mm.
the Waymo experience. Yeah.
This is interesting, isn't it? Again, this is higher than what I would have imagined. Um, and again, it just goes to show that the experience with human drivers either hasn't been that great, right? Or there's some safety issue, or people would just rather be alone. They'd rather just sit in the vehicle alone, be on their phones, and not have to deal with anything.
Hmm.
That's interesting. It's already 70% of the people that have used Waymo. Now, we should be a little bit careful here because the people that have used Waymo are kind of, maybe more tech forward people,
Yeah.
right? They're self-selecting into I want to be alone, right? If you didn't want to be alone, then maybe you wouldn't be predisposed to using a Waymo. But still, I think directionally this is really interesting, and I
Oh,
think it
that's a good
bodes
point.
well for Tesla's Robotaxi service.
That's right. That's a good point. Okay, so you actually let's drill in a little bit closer. You did your own analysis on this OB report. So your price per mile Waymo versus Uber versus Lyft. Consumers are paying more to ride Waymo. Waymo rides cost 41% more than Lyft and 31% more than Uber on average when comparing pricing at the same time across the same routes. But you just mentioned that does not include a tip. So if you add the tip, maybe it's, but this is shocking to me. This is crazy to me. For the
Yeah.
0 to 1 mile, under 1 mile, $42. Waymo charges $42 per mile. And these other guys are $30 per mile. Like you said, if I'm adding tip, 10% tip, 20% tip, we're getting closer to $36, $40 per mile. That's crazy. And even when you get to 6 miles, now you're still paying $5 a mile, $6 a mile, or $5 a mile. Crazy. I,
They're high numbers, aren't they? They're really high numbers.
too
Now,
high. Yeah.
the interesting thing with this is we need to keep in mind is that you are paying for the repositioning of the vehicle. So even though you might only be going a mile, the vehicle might have had to drive, 3 or 4 miles to get to you,
Mhm.
right? In that case. So, you know, this is where sort of density of vehicles matters. If you have more vehicles in your fleet, you can offer a lower cost per mile because the vehicle is just readily available. You don't have to incur that repositioning cost. So with Waymo, with their fleet, I'm not sure how many vehicles they have in San Francisco. It's a decent number, but still, they probably have a lot less, obviously, than what Uber and Lyft have in San Francisco. So the repositioning cost for them is higher. They kind of need to charge more, but I think at this point they're also saying that, hey, we're a premium service. You don't have to deal with the driver. You'll happily pay more. But yeah, it is kind of shocking when you look at those short trips, just how expensive they are. To go, a mile and pay $28, $30, $44 just for a trip that's a mile long seems kind of crazy.
So this repositioning thing, you're saying that that's Waymo too, because maybe the issue is that they don't have enough cars, and so they need to reposition it. Versus if you actually have more cars and you add more cars, then you don't have to do that.
Yeah, if you have lots more vehicles, then the repositioning cost is less because you don't have to drive as far to get from where the car is to where the person is. The other interesting thing I think too about these short trips is that, if it's a mile, some people are going to opt out and walk, or half a mile or something. They'll walk.
Yeah.
But Uber knows, or Waymo knows, that if you want a trip that's only a mile, you're probably not a very price sensitive person, because you can't walk that
Right.
mile or don't want to, right?
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of bags that you're carrying, or you just physically can't do it. So they know they've kind of got you, or they can charge a lot for that service. Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff though that's autonomous cars should not care about, would not care about. And then, I think with regards to repositioning, remember that we had this conversation before where if I'm an Uber driver and I drive somebody and I go somewhere, I need to get back home. I need to find a way to get back closer to my neighborhood. But if you are a riderless car, doesn't matter if you find yourself, 100 miles away from now, then you start servicing that area. They'll just like swap it with the license plate, somebody else do it.
And they'll have AI algorithms that sort of optimize for the positioning of the vehicles. They'll probably constantly be moving around to optimize all that.
So yeah, this is just the same data, right?
Yeah, what I did with this, Herbert, was convert the data that was in the report, which was an average price per kilometer, to average price per mile, which for US folks, that's a more meaningful number.
Thank you for doing that. Gotcha. Okay, this is the killer research right here. So they asked, what is your biggest issue with rideshare in 2025? And here's the list. Prices is top, 70%. Wait times too long, 40%. I'm shocked with that one because I guess I live in an urban area, I guess. Safety, 38%. Drivers cancel on me too often, 21%. And then this one, I have to download too many apps, because that will tell you whether or not people kept saying, oh, Tesla needs to partner with Uber. They're not going to download another app. And most of us are saying, that you crazy. Downloading the app is not a big deal. And this kind of, we'll talk about it. So, what's your thoughts on this list?
Well, if you could keep going down the list, there's not enough competition, not enough green rides, not enough driverless cars. So how many of these issues does Robotaxi address?
Okay.
Well, ultimately pricing, right? Pricing will come way down with the Robotaxi expansion. Wait times will come way down. Safety, well, Robotaxi is going to be safer than human and even better going forward, right? It's not going to cancel on you.
Yeah.
Right. The app issue, okay, fine. You have to get over that one. You have to download an app or get it on X or wherever Tesla's going to make it available to people. There's not enough competition. Well, it's another big new competitor that's going to, take Uber and Lyft and Waymo to task. Not enough green rides. Well, that's EVs. We're 100% green rides, and not enough driverless cars. Well, there we go. We're going to solve that one pretty quick. So this is a beautiful list for anybody looking to start a Robotaxi service.
Yeah, there's not enough competition. I think that tells you, because Uber and Lyft basically monopolies. And what pisses a lot of people off is the surge pricing. That's when you get really pissed that there's not enough competition. Like, how dare you? And I don't have a choice, and I'm gonna just kind of bite it and take it.
The report, by the way, concluded that Waymo was more focused on capturing as much of the economic premium as they could, just based on the pricing.
Oh, right. I'm going to charge as much as I can because the customers don't mind paying it, and I'm not trying to undercut because I need margin. I have no margin. I need to recoup all my expenses.
They're already losing enough money, but they're trying to maximize their revenues so that they would lose less money.
Gotcha.
So that's not a particularly good sign when suddenly
Yeah.
you've got a new competitor that's even cheaper than you are in terms of cost to operate. So it's going to be
Good point.
that strategy for Waymo. Once Tesla's Robotaxi, enters into the San Francisco market, it's going to reduce the opportunity for Waymo very quickly.
Okay, let's go through it some more. I have other people who pointed this out. This is Jan of EV Wire. Differences in prices between Waymo, Uber, and Lyft in price per kilometer. That's the difference. Okay, and you converted it. So we've already talked about this, but you got the median price and a standard deviation. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
The point there, just with that one real quick, is that the variability between Waymo's prices is a higher variability in the pricing than you see with Lyft and Uber. And if you want to take these prices per kilometer multiplied by about 1.6, and that gets price per mile. So
Okay. Yeah.
expensive. And again, I've never run my models with the price per mile anywhere near these numbers.
No, I know. This is a shock to us. Everybody
Yeah.
kept saying for how many years now, we all kept saying that the rideshare services charge $2 to $3 per mile. And then a few of us would say, that's not what I get charged. I get charged higher than that. But we just kind of assume, we always assume $2 to $3. And we said, at some point, Tesla's going to charge under $2 per mile. And Elon himself has been talking about at some point in the future, 25 cents a mile. But at this point, it's like these guys are charging $40 per mile,
Yeah.
$5 a mile. Okay, fine. Maybe the longer ones are probably closer to $2, $3 a mile. Tesla's going to come in and charge $2 a mile. Just wipe these guys out.
It's going to be very interesting to see how quickly Tesla can drive pricing down in this market. Clearly, it's going to be tied directly to their ability to scale, right? And as they introduce tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, million plus vehicles into this market, pricing then will come down massively. So that'll be fascinating to watch actually how quickly pricing will come down.
Your research shows that even at $2 per mile, Cern, Tesla's making money. Some margin
Oh,
positive.
massive profits.
Massive, right?
Yeah.
So versus the other guys, Uber and Waymo, they can't make money. Waymo can't make money on this. And so even though there is a price war, which we expect will happen, they will try to match Tesla's pricing, which we expect to happen. But I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years, they can't survive much longer than that, right? Maybe Google will keep throwing billions, but boy.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I saw a comment recently on a related post. I don't think it was one of my posts, but a post relating to this, about why wouldn't Waymo charge next to nothing in order to outcompete Tesla, not even give Tesla a chance to operate. Well, for one, Waymo can't scale fast enough to be able to do that. If Waymo did that, their wait times would be so massive that it would be frustrating for any consumer to use. And then third, I don't think Alphabet has the desire to lose any more money than they're losing on Waymo. And fourth, to this point, to this report, Waymo is actually doing the exact opposite. They're actually trying to maximize their pricing as much as possible.
Yeah, they're in trouble. So even if they say they charge $0, Tesla can do $0, and it doesn't, like levels, like you said, Waymo has 1,500 cars today. They're going to add another 2,000 next year. That's 3,500 cars, and so Tesla can do 10,000 cars, 100,000 cars, and maybe they can also operate in different places because Waymo's limited to their Austin area and these other cities, and then Tesla's going to quickly add and grow. So there won't be even Waymos to compete with in those spaces. So sure, yeah. Here's Farzad saying this. He said, winner takes most market. So what are your biggest issue? If you take a look at the top 4, he thinks that means winner takes most. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, I think it comes down to basically the economy of scale that no one else is going to be able to match. And again, we've done a lot of work on this in terms of what's Tesla's cost per mile going to be. So if consumers are sensitive to pricing, right, and wait times and safety and drivers canceling, Tesla solves for all these things and very nicely and offers it at ultimately a very attractive rate, at a rate that no one else can economically match. Sure, somebody could match it short term, but it comes down to how much money are they willing to lose and for what benefit. They're long term, they're not going to win with that strategy. So in that case, if you don't have anybody else that can really compete with you fundamentally, long-term, structurally, then it's a winner take most market, right? You just don't have any competition. There's no one else out there that has the structure of Robotaxi, the economic structure that Tesla has. Waymo doesn't have it. It's not even close. Uber and Lyft cannot get there. Who else is there that's on the horizon that we can even guess? Zoox? I don't think so.
Yeah. So the companies that have the most cars, there's tremendous value to having more cars than less. And if you have more cars than, the more cars, generally you will have lower prices, right? Because there's scale.
Mhm.
Your wait times will be a lot quicker because you have way more cars out there. Waymo. I don't know about safety necessarily, but drivers won't cancel on you. But right? The cars are closer to you. So these are reasons why the car, at the end of the day, right now, you've got basically two players, Waymo and Lyft. They killed most of the taxi services. And so the end of the day, what you could have would be two players. But you're not going to have 5 players or 10 players, you could have 10 players, but the others will have such small market share. Because if you're a rider, you're going to pick the one with all this lowest price, quicker to arrive to you. Nobody's going to cancel on you. Yeah, Tesla's Robotaxi solves almost every one of these complaints. You talked about this. Lower prices by limiting labor and fuel costs, shorter wait times through a massive fleet, better safety than human drivers. Driver won't cancel on you because there is no driver. You'll have to download another app. So can't help with that one. Brings more competition. All rides are zero emission. All rides are driverless. Yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah. Now, by the way, just on the app thing, it's
Yeah.
possible that X could natively build this into the X platform. So in that case, for X users, perhaps, I'm just guessing, I'm speculating here, perhaps it'll be built in. Also, for Tesla owners, perhaps it'll just be built into your Tesla app. So perhaps some people won't need to download a new app.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like
for sure.
Grok. Grok is a new app, but Grok is also native on the X app. You don't have
Yeah.
to download the Grok app if you don't want to.
I think I saw analysis of how many Uber apps are downloaded. I think 100 million or something like that. But the X app is like closer to like 1 billion. So yeah, if Tesla wanted to, there's ways that they could be, and then I'm sure that they could be partnered with all the other apps, like you said, built in. They'll partner with other companies that already have apps installed and, have it a link out there.
I mean, it's kind of comical when you think about it. If the impediment to using
Downloading an
Robotaxi
app.
is your ability to download an app,
Yeah.
but like Omar
Yeah.
said, I'm sorry, we can't help you with that one. Like you've already figured out how to download apps on your phone, and you're not willing to do it with this one.
That's a good point.
I'm
It's
sorry.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see a stat on how many people actually have downloaded both Uber and Lyft versus just Uber or just Lyft. I'd love to see that. I mean, I have both. I'm sure you do too.
Yep.
And what do we do, right? I'm about to head to the airport. I look up one, I look up the other. It takes me seconds. I pick the one that I want to pick.
Yep.
So I don't see it's going to be an issue at all. So it's ridiculous. It's the reason we're making such a big deal about it is we have people that we're debating with who think that the reason why Tesla must partner with Uber is because they can't convince consumers to download Tesla's app. They already have Uber's app. They want you to partner with Uber so you can get that app. And it's like the value is not just an app. But
if I'm paying $30 for a 5-mile trip with Uber or Lyft and Waymo, you've given me every economic incentive to download another app to save some money.
Free. Yeah.
Right.
Just to check it out.
If I'm saving $5 or $10, I guarantee you I'm downloading the app.
Absolutely.
And then the app's on my phone forevermore. Yeah.
So this is the other big surprise, I think, is that people always assumed that they would always want to be driven by a human and that they'd be very scared going onto a self-driving car. Apparently, 60% of Uber's customer base, given enough self-driving cars and price that equal to or less than Uber, will use self-driving cars every time. Tesla Robotaxi is going to destroy Uber. It says here, how comfortable would you feel riding in an autonomous driverless rideshare like Waymo? And it looks like green here, 16% says very comfortable, somewhat comfortable, and neutral. And then, so that is 20 plus 18, 19 plus 16.
Call it roughly 60%, I guess, is what Farzad is saying here.
20, 20, 20. Yeah. 60, roughly 60% would be just fine with using a Waymo. So that, I mean, that's the point though, right? Is that, everybody kept saying good luck. And then, well, by the way, there's already self-driving cars. There's already rideshare self-driving cars out there. Waymo is one of them. And they've proven that they've taken market share off of Uber and Lyft in the markets that they've shared, charging more. And so it's like, what makes people think that Tesla is going to struggle at selling their Robotaxi? They've already proven it, that it's going to happen here.
And again, we should be careful here because we're using Waymo as a benchmark for Robotaxi. Mm-hmm. No, that's the wrong benchmark. So if this lower performing benchmark is showing data this attractive, then Robotaxi numbers would be much higher than that at some point, right? Once it's been in operation for a while, the numbers will be even higher.
The experience is so much better in so many ways. It's unbelievable. It was designed specifically for it. It's going to be clean because it's going to be automated, all that. Okay, and entertainment. I want to also share that Waymo themselves dropped a new report, and their research is driving the autonomous vehicle industry forward, and they shared that. Guess what they learned?
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. They found that AI scaling laws hold true in AV software and real-world performance. The more data that you have, the better that the autonomous driving compute works. Waymo, in a new blog post, announced that they finally figured out what Elon Musk was trying to tell everyone 3 years ago. This is what Elon said 3 years ago. He said, they have no idea how hard FSD is. Only path to success, in my opinion, is hardcore real-world AI software with dedicated neural net inference acceleration, ASICs, in car. That's the inference computer. Yeah, the inference computer. Multi-billion-dollar neural net training supercluster, those supercomputers, and 10 billion miles of vehicle data. Okay, so he's already said in the past, the only way for success for full self-driving autonomous cars, you have to have AI software, neural net, right? Inference computes in every car, and multi-billion-dollar supercomputers and 10 billions of miles of vehicle data. And this was the very first video of full self-driving, by the way. I wanted to share this. It's kind of fun. This is Tesla Raj, and this is John from Tesla Owned Silicon Valley. And I actually don't know what date this was. Do you know this? It was 3 years ago. I just want to play a little bit of it. This is the very first kind of consumer, not employee, testing out Tesla's full self-driving.
Just before you play it, just before we leave that last Elon quote, just want to make a comment on that.
Yeah, please. Sorry.
I have an idea for every single company that's competing with Tesla in some way, or SpaceX in some way, or any of Elon's companies. Here's an idea for you. And this sounds really silly, but actually this will be really smart. You should hire somebody whose only job it is to remind you every day, if necessary, what Elon has said in the past. So every time you have a meeting and you're coming up with ideas, that person's sole job is to say, but Elon said 3 years ago, blah, 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 blah. It sounds stupid, but you know what? That actually would probably be a very good idea for every company that is competing against Tesla or SpaceX. Sorry, I just had to mention that.
It's funny. It's a joke, but it's actually not a joke because Elon is proven true over and over again. His future kind of things like this is so good. But anyways, this is fun too. I just want to play a little bit of it.
Literally just pull that up.
Oh, look at your screen.
Dude. It's literally like red lasers, but it literally sees everything. It has all the cars literally on it. All right.
So let's go.
Put this bad boy in drive.
Where did you navigate to?
Target.
Oh, okay. Wait, it's going?
Oh, it's going, dude.
But there's no lane. There's no lanes.
Oh my.
There's cars on the side of the road.
Dude, it's navigating through it all, bro. All right, here we come up to the first turn, dude.
No.
Blinker is on, dude.
Blinker's on.
My mind is about to be blown, bro. Okay, here we go. Oh, no way, dude.
Oh, it paused to look.
It paused to look, dude.
Wait,
No way, dude!
there's no lanes.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Okay, it's fun to remind ourselves that this is the very first time that you saw a car driving itself, a consumer. Okay, so it's one thing that Waymo has it out there, competitors, LiDAR, they have it out there, but it's another thing where a regular consumer can buy a car and there it is. It's driving around. And back then, it wasn't that great. Of course, it had to go through years of work and training. But here we are. And what did Waymo find out? Of course, they did their study, and this is what they found out. Their study says that many recent AI breakthroughs have followed a common pattern. Bigger models trained in more data with more compute often deliver extraordinary gains. So they're basically saying that that's the case. Now they're saying that they've got it too, but the reality is, please compare it to Tesla. Do you have as much data as Tesla? No, they don't. They have 1,500 cars. They have 1,500 cars. Tesla's capturing data for years now on 7 million cars. More compute. Now Tesla has 2 massive supercomputers, the largest in the world. You got the XAI Colossus. You got the Tesla's Cortex, and also over 30,000 and H100 equivalents, getting to 1 million in XAI, is a solution to autonomous driving. Tesla's way more data, way more compute. So even Waymo is reporting now that that's what they need to do.
Yeah, and who knew? Who knew, right? Elon warned them years ago. Now, could Google do it? Sure.
Yeah.
Could they do it tomorrow? No. Right. It'll take time. Will it make sense for Google to push through with this? Only time will tell. I mean, how much money do they want to lose? And then where will the market be when they enter? Can they ever get to a point? So let's say they can compete with Tesla on the compute side, right? And Google has pretty impressive AI chops with DeepMind and all those folks. So from a FSD creation standpoint, okay, they could get there. But how are they going to solve for the low-cost vehicle manufacturing part? Google doesn't have an option there. So, if I'm at Google, if I'm at Waymo and looking at this, you've got to wonder how you're really ever going to compete. You see a path forward in terms of creating the brain for the vehicle, right? You can see that path now. They've opened their eyes. They've decided to listen to what Elon said 3 years ago. They're on the same pathway. Great. But they're still missing some key pieces. How are they solving for that?
Yeah.
Are you going to partner with GM? That's not going to work. What are you going to do? Are you going to vertically build yourself a vertically integrated EV maker? Good luck with that. A lot of people have tried, and no one has made money other than Tesla. And maybe BYD, although that's not even clear at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
like Elon said, good luck. He said that 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
People don't realize this, but they assume that Waymo is out there going, LiDAR is the solution. LiDAR is the only solution, and it's a fool's errand on their side. That's what they hear them saying, to just do video. We've got the right solution, and video only, vision only is a failure. That's not what Waymo's doing. Waymo has their own research. They don't realize that already proved that they don't need LiDAR. They published that paper 6 months ago. And now they've got this paper showing that actually, yes, neural nets is the way to go, and neural net requires data and compute. So
isn't it interesting, Herbert, that everybody for years has questioned Elon's sanity about vision only?
Right.
You would think there should be an equal number of people questioning Waymo's sanity about LiDAR. And yet the argument in my perception seems so lopsided that everybody thought that Elon had lost his mind, that ultimately they would end up putting LiDAR on the vehicles because vision only wasn't going to work. I just find that kind of interesting that there wasn't an equal number of voices on the other side questioning the sanity of people using LiDAR. It was only Elon, as far as I know.
Yeah.
That's just really interesting, isn't it? This shows kind of the the bias for whatever reason that's out there.
Yeah. So Waymo actually already came out and said that we don't need one in that research paper. So that we don't need LiDAR. It's actually better to go vision only. And yeah, so here we are. It's going to be very interesting to see where we go here. But great studies. We learned a lot of new things this weekend. And thank you, Cern, for always doing your research and do deep dive research. So it's great to you to see this new data, and it matched what you've already been saying. Thank you very much, Cern. Follow him on, go check out his company, BrilliantAdvice.net. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, Herbert.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.